Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Nitai Gora Haribol 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 Nitai Gora Haribol Haribol Nitai Gora Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Goranitai, 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 Jaya Goranitai. Jai Rukmini Dvarakadish, Jai Rukmini Dvarakadish, Jai Rukmini Dvarakadish, Jai Rukmini Dvarakadish. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadraya, Jaya Sudarshana, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadraya. Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Shila Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gora Haribal, Haribal, Haribol, Nitai Gora Haribol, Nitai Gora Haribol, Haribol. Haribo, Nitai Gora Haribo. Gaur Premanande, Hari Haribo, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. They divine worship Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Rukmini Dvarakadish, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Ki Jai. His divine will there is a price of Shri New Dwarakadhama Ki Jai. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. My humble obeisances to all. Maharaj, senior devotees. Asking blessings from senior. So that I can say something suitable. Yes. Yeah, but maybe we can turn up. We can turn. Thank you. So we reading today Canto 3, Chapter 12, entitled Creation of the Kumaras and Others, and text 12, but there is no purport, so we're going to read 12 throughout 14. Yeah. Then we're going to read responsibly. Okay. Let us start with invocation, prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashta Preshav Badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Shinvatan Svakatha Krishnam Punyas Shravanam Kirtanam Ridyantosta Badrani Vidhunati Suhrit Satam. Sanskrit translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Manur Okay. Manur Manur Madhinaso Mahan Shivarita Rita Dvajah Ugra Rita Bhavah Kalo Vamadevo Drita Rutah. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said, "My dear boy Rudra, you have 11 other names: Manu, Manu, Mahinasa, Mahan, Shiva, Ritadvaja, Ugra, Reta, Bhava, Kala, Vamadeva, and Dhrita Vrata." So next text, number 13. Dhir Dhritarasa Lomacha Niyutsar Pir Ulambika Iravati Shadha Diksha Rudra Nyorudra Te Striya. O Rudra, you also have 11 wives called the Rudranis, and they are as follows: Dhriti Rasala Uma Nuyut Sarpi Ila Ambika Iravati Shraddha and Diksha. Text number 14, Sanskrit translation prepared by His Divine Grace Prabhupada Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. I try my best. My voice is soft. Hare Krishna. Grihanaitani namani Grihanaitani namani Sthanani chasa yusana Embik srija praja bhakvih Prajanam asiyat patih Grihnanai tani namani Sthanani cha sayosana Ephi srija prajah bhavyah Prajanam asiyat patih. Mataji? Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear boy, you may know... Huh? Oh, I have to follow Sanskrit, okay, word by word. Grihina, just accept. Etani, all this. Namani, different names. Sthanani, as well as places. Cha, also. Sayo, Sanach, along with wives. Abhi, with them. Srija, just generate. Prajah, progeny. Bhavik, on a large scale. Prajanam, of the living entities. Ashi, you are. Yat, since. Pati, the master. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear boy, you may know, accept all these names and places designated for you, and your different wives, and since you are now one of the masters of the living entities, you may increase the population on a large scale. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Brahma, as the father of Rudra, selected the wives of his son, his living places, and his names as well. It is natural that one should accept the wife selected by one's father, just as a son accepts the name given by the father, or as he accepts the property offered by the father. That is the general course in increasing the population of the world. On the other hand, the Kumaras did not accept the offering of their father because they were elevated far beyond the business of generating a great number of sons. As the son can refuse the order of the father for higher purpose, so the father can refuse to maintain his son in increasing population because of higher purposes. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Gyanti Mirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshurmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Pishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaganarat Hunatkham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savathutam Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaganam Lalitam Shri Vishakam Vitam Sha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanshina Gorange Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtabhule Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Ventah Pravishtah Machimam Prasuktam Sanjivayanti Kila Shakti Dharam Sadam Anyam Shahastam Charanam Sharanam Samadhi Pranam Namo Bhagavate Purushaya Tupram Durgam Patindasa Skala Padam Kripastina Santa Santa Gurave Guru Chandra Shat Katale Shri Krishna Krishna Bhaktayate Bhaktayana Namaha Isara Prasadam Yajna Tisara Siddhana Srichtani Devama Bhagavan Samprasivata Sham Sadani Pranam Bhagavati Purvakam Dharan Bhujkaram Tamarantam Krishna Shakti Vinakita Pravtana Kavatala Dhamma Krishna Namaskankirtana Dhampastrinam Dhantaya Vinyashkipana Shima Drupam Padam Dhujam Dhurisyam Janam Hare Krishna. So here description of Brahma's creation, which is called Srishti Lila, and it is considered the secondary creation. Bhagavatam describes this 10 topics. Atra sarga visargasya sthanam poshanam uttayom manvantarishanu katha nirodha muktir ashraya. So there are 10 topics with which Bhagavatam plays around. So first one is subtle creation, then secondary creation, place of living, poshanam, sthanam, then poshanam is protection, then creative impetus, dynasty of the kings, science of God, winding up creation, mukti liberation, and ashraya means ultimate goal, summum bonum, so Krishna Lila, in other words. So, and Bhagavatam systematically describes these 10 different subject matters, just to bring up us or uplift our consciousness through these 10 topics. And by some of the opinions of the acharyas in these 10 topics of Bhagavatam, let's say decoded evolution of consciousness. So how we develop our consciousness, Krishna consciousness, throughout these 10 topics. So it is gradual approach. So we're not jumping immediately to the Krishna Lila, just over a few steps, but we're going systematically, step by step, level by level. And this to first, Sarga Visarga means creation of subtle and gross body. So it's beginning of creation, beginning of consciousness. Then next level is a place of stay, yeah? According to our moral level, according to our dharma. It's a place of living in the universe, in one of the planetary systems. And then, if we're falling down to the hellish condition of life, there is a poshanam, or protection of the Lord. Yeah? Lord gives holy name. This is topic of 6th canto. Then uti means creative impetus. So what is the driving force for us? So why some of the people there are pious, godly people, but some of them they are demoniac, Daivya Sura Sampada. What is the driving force? Why we become like that? Why we attracting to Krishna, or what's the purpose behind? So there is some uti, or creative impetus, which is samskaras accumulated in the past. Then Ishanukatha means science of God. Yeah? When we understand science of God, then we realize this is material creation, it's just useless thing, and we're gonna give up it And this is winding up of creation of Nirodha, and then Mukti, liberation, and then finally we attain Krishna Lila, which is ultimate goal, where there are 90 chapters in 10th canto, which is described Krishna Lila in Vrindavan, Dwaraka, and Mathura. Right? So this is summum bonum, or this is ultimate achievement of the soul. And here is description of Brahma's creation, and this is called Visarga, or creation of subtle and gross body. Stula Sharira, Linga Sharira, right? Krishna explained in Bhagavad Gita. So different elements of material nature, he is considered to be, those energies are his own energies. Bhumira Ponalu Vayuh Kamano Budhiravacha Ahankara, Vimut Ahankara, Vityame, Bina Prakriti Ashtada. Right? So the Bina Prakriti Ashtada, it means 8 energies, my separated energies, Krishna said. And so here is a story of creation, Ahankara, right? So Rudra, he is a symbol, or he is a personified anger, personified Ahankara, Asmita, or false ego. And here's a story, because just to understand all these technical intricacies and all the small details, so Bhagavatam depicts kind of story, because in Bhagavatam there are many levels of understanding, like some hierarchy, like maybe external level is just narrative level, you know, like some literal story, some scenario, but then behind some kind of what is called metaphysical perspective, yeah? Some different moral lessons which I can extract from that story. And finally there are some experience of rasa, right? Higher taste. So it's absolute level of love, because Bhagavatam is all about rasa. Yeah? It's full of saturated with rasa. Pibata Bhagavatam rasa malayam muhura horasika bhuvi bhavukah. It is saying that every word is a rasa. Does anyone feels some rasa in description of creation? But advanced devotees they do, because Krishna can present himself in different ways. So Prabhupada writes in purport that whatever description is given in Bhagavatam, like teaching of Sankhya or different stages of creation, or maybe kiss in a rasa dance, that's everything about Krishna, you see. And pure devotee, he feels like that. So my Krishna is there, he creates, he annihilates, he maintains everything, and he dances sometimes, yeah, with his pure beloved. Here is a creation of Ahankara, and there is a story that Brahma, he is the original progenitor Prajapati. He established all the different dynasties, and he very interested in population of the universe. He wanted to, produce a population, offspring, and now maybe probably we have like about 8 billion humans on Earth. Probably Brahma would be happy with that, but maybe not, because in Kali Yuga population is called Varna Sankara, unwanted population. So he interested in pious population, a species, pious sons. And yes, this population, so he very interested, so he created Kumaras, but they were renounced, they were high beyond this business of progeny and so on and so forth. And he got angry with that, yeah? He got cross with his sons. And Brahma, his personification of passion. He's a very passionate person, because he creates, he in charge for this mode of nature. And actually there are 3 main, the 3 gods, three main presiding deities over the material nature, because material nature consists of these 3, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo, Iti, Guna, Prakriti, Sambhava. It is the kingdom of these 3. and they're three main gods, right? So there is Brahma, who is in charge for Rajas, for passion. Shiva is control over Tamagun, and Lord Vishnu, he is a Sattva. Like English word God, it's abbreviation. It's like we can decode it like God is 3 letters, G-O-D, where is generator, operator, and destroyer, right? So there's 3 main deities. Generator is a Brahma, operator is a Vishnu, and destroyer is a Shiva. Brahma, he is being in charge for mode of passion, so he sometimes gets angry because this is passion. If it doesn't goes up and uplift your consciousness, so it goes to the tamagun, and anger is a personification of tamas, right? Before he created 5 forms of nations, he created tamas, moha, maha, moha, tamisra, andhra tamisra. This is 5 different types of ignorance. We read previously at the beginning of the chapter, where there are, if you remember, does anybody remember those 5? They're important. So conditions which created by Brahma, under which living entity can live in this material world. If you want to enjoy separately from God, there are 5 conditions given to us. It's the 5 forms of nations. Does anybody remember those? So first one is moha, right? Moha means forgetfulness or ignorance of self-knowledge. So I don't know, I just forgot my eternal Svarup. Who am I? I am eternal servant of Krishna. So that's deleted from my memory. Yeah? This is called moha. Then mahamoha is false identification with this material body, right? Subtle or gross, or some different aspects or personalities, like I'm American, Russian, Ukrainian, or Indian, Pakistani, whoever, Jew. So all these types of identification, that's called mahamoha. This is great illusion. So now I'm identified with this external presentation, gross material body, or subtle, whatever. That's everything matter. And then moha, maha, tamaha, tamisra, tamaha, right? I think so. Tamisra. Tamisra means anger, and this is anger upon frustration, right? It's like duality in which we implicated. So one extreme is false ownership over enjoyable objects or temporary objects of this world. It's called asat. Asat trishna. We attach to kind of temporary material, inert matter. We try to manipulate by that and extract some happiness out of it. Is it possible? So Prabhupada been asked one time, so can living entity can be happy by just manipulating inert matter, dead matter? And Prabhupada said, yeah, conditioned living entity can be happy. I mean, can be happy. And there is, Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Ichhadvesha samudhina dvandva mohina bharata sarva bhutani samuhan sargayanti parantapa. So everyone born in this duality of illusion, dvandva mohina, Ichhadvesha. So we are attracted to things, and we rejected things which are not favorable for our enjoyment, for our senses. And this is called anger upon frustration. So we angry if we not satisfy our lust. Is it possible to satisfy the lust? It's not possible. That's another illusion. And also Krishna given this sequence in Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter. He explained that Dhayato Vishayan Pumsan Sangastashu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama. Kamat Krodho Bija. When we observe in this material world and seeing different objects, we meditate upon, and then we create some attachment to that. From attachment arises lust, so we want to enjoy by that. And finally, but as we decided it's not possible to satisfy our lust, then anger arises, right? Krodha. And in a sequence, consequently, then Krodha, Bhavadi, Samaha, Samoha, Smriti, Vipramaha, Smriti, Nasha, Buddhi, Nasho, Buddhi, Nasha, Pranashiti. So anger is a destructive element, is a destroying factor, to destroying everything. So Rudra personified this destruction of the universe, and it is anger. He destroys everything and annihilates by anger. So this anger is very destructive force. You see, we have to be careful by using anger, because we risk it to be used by anger. And this anger is a higher power. It's a Shiva's power, which is very strong power, and even Brahma cannot resist the destruction of the entire universe. It's called Tamisra, and Rudra, he is a personified anger, symbol of that. And when Brahma, he was not satisfied because he could not insist of his son to make a progeny, so he got angry, and he kind of tolerated it for a while. But then this anger he's thrown out this anger through the middle of eyebrows, and it came out like a Rudra. So this personified anger. So he appears himself, and this is anger as it is. And so we're using this anger, and we think it's okay, so we can use it. But you see, it's higher power. We can be used, and we can be destroyed. And this destructive force. Because next, last form of nations is called Anhrata Misra. Anhrata Misra means fear of death. And how does it come about? By using anger. When we we got angry, so then it is unconscious stage which brings on death. Actually, it is saying in Vishnu Purana. So this is last one is called Anhrata Misra, and this is fear of death. Comes from anger, actually. So you see, we have to be very careful with the destructive force. Of course, sometimes sadhu can use anger in the terms in order to correct or purify or to cut down illusion or our attachments. And sadhu can do this because he is not implicated in those 5 types of nations, and he can use it but never be used by anger. But we are conditioned souls, we have to avoid it. Sometimes it is saying that we can use this anger just to direct it towards offenders, right? Those who offend devotees or Vishnu, Bhagavan, deities. Jai Shri Rukmini Dvarkadhish ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki Jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. So we can use it in order to stop or to give resistance to some offenders. But actually it's better to purify it completely from this anger, because it's a very risky business, to deal with that. So better to get purified, to get rid of it completely and be free from it, because it's a higher power. It's a very destructive. So anyways, this Rudra, he is a personified anger, and it is very powerful. And friendly speaking, we all of us, I mean, myself, I don't know about others, but some of you exalted devotees. So we under the control of material nature, yeah? Dai vihesha gunamaya mamamaya duratya. It's a very powerful nature which keeps us from the time immemorial in this condition, this material life. And it is naturally to kind of get implicated into passion of life and then express anger because of attachment to the sense objects, and and like Krishna also said in Bhagavad Gita, the three gates leading to the hell, Krodha, Kama, Lobha, Trividhi, Narakayata, the three gates leading to hell. And we can, it's hard to control, to be conscious that we come to the point and we can control this anger. So because it's like a sequence, so we can slip down at any point and we can be used by anger, and then so many problems will arise. It is very troublesome. So therefore, of course we have to think how to avoid, how to get rid of, how to elevate our consciousness from this situation where we can get under the control of anger. By the way, there is in the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali also given this list of these 5. They're called five kleshas, pancha klesha. Avidya, smita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, pancha klesha. Klesha means suffering, literally. So there's 5 types of suffering which delude our consciousness, actually. So we can't operate properly, we can't think, and we can't concentrate on something higher. So therefore, of course, there is a very reasonable question how we can avoid, how we can uplift our consciousness and be safe from this destructive force, which is anger. And maybe devotees give some different scenarios, I don't know, but I came to conclusion that to avoid anger, and anger is one of the feature of nations, yeah? Like Prabhupada said on the title list of Back to Godhead, he said, material nature is a darkness, right? Krishna is a sun. Krishna, Surya, Samamaya, Hanantakara. So wherever there is a sun, there is no darkness, right? So Krishna is a solution for our problem. It's like a spiritual solution for all material problems. Right? So we have to surrender to Krishna. Surrender means Sharanagati. Right? By the way, today is the day of disappearance of Ramanujacharya. Right? So I never mentioned, so I'm sorry. It's a great celebration for all Vaishnava community. And by the way, he came up with his teaching, and Lord Chaitanya picked up 2 principles from his Ramanujacharya's teaching for his all-embracing philosophy of Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. You know these 2 principles taken from Ramanujacharya's teaching? Does anybody know? Yes, please. Vaishnava Seva, right? It's service to the Vaishnavas. It's very important. Huh? Deity worship, it's from Madhvacharya, actually. From yesterday. Madhvacharya was yesterday. And Sharanagati, right. There is a particular term for that, it's called Prapana. Prapana means surrender. So same equivalent we have in our teaching, it's called Sharanagati. Sharanagati is a full surrender. The path of surrender, actually. Gati means path. Sharana means surrender. Krishna said, Sarva dharma parityajam mamekam sharanam vraja. So surrender to me fully, and then give up all kinds of nonsense, or maybe even good things. You have to give up everything in the sake of to surrender to Krishna to get his mercy. So therefore, so this path of surrender is a solution for all our problems. So we can we can overcome this anger and all these 5 forms of nations by completely surrender to Krishna, by developing our bhakti, by associating with devotees and hearing Bhagavatam and chanting Hare Krishna. So in this way we can bring about Krishna in our life, and then all nations will be disappear. So it's dissolved in due course of time, and then we become happy, blissful, and peaceful, and so on. There is no anger. So therefore Krishna said, Mam ekam sharanam vraja. One of the translation of vraja. Vraja means go and surrender to me. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he said in his commentaries, vraja means go to Vraj and follow to my pure beloved devotees. Who are the best devotees of Krishna? Gopis, yeah, right. So he said, he just gave a hint to Arjuna. So if you want to surrender to me and give up everything, you just follow those exalted souls, those who totally surrender to Krishna. There are 6 steps of surrender, you know. It's given in Vaishnava book, which is called Hari Bhakti Vilas. Anukulyasya Sankalpa Pratikulyasya Varjanam Goptrithi Varanam Tatha Rakshashusyasya Visaso Atmani Kshepa Karpanya Shadvidhi Sharanagati. Shadvidhi, 6 aspects of surrender. This is whole path. It's like gradual process of surrender. It's not like I'm just run, jump, and just, you know, like, and surrender immediately. It's not like that. So you have to step by step gradually surrender your body, soul, mind, everything to Krishna. There are some steps, like anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya. So you have to give up everything which is not favorable and accept what is favorable for Krishna consciousness. And this is a big topic, you know, to discuss. Could be given some seminar, you know, for that. And then gradually accept Krishna as a supreme master and only protection, protector, and shelter. And finally you come to the level of, some of the acharyas saying it should be first. Karpanya means total humility or meekness, you know, you just completely surrender to Krishna, submissive. This is meekness or humility. And then Atmani Kshepa means Atmani Vedanam, or giving your soul away to Krishna. So you're completely giving everything. Because on previous stages you not surrender everything, but finally you have to come to the level, so you have to give up everything and just give to Krishna. And this is a culmination of whole process of bhakti, Atmani Vedanam, right? So this is Sharanagati way, and how we can overcome our obstacles on the path of bhakti, our anger, how we curb our anger, and how we become peaceful and prepare to receive the mercy of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Thank you very much for listening and tolerating me today. I don't know, do we have a time for questions, answers, or realizations? Or No, it's another one, Madhvacharya. Brahmanujacharya, he was more Brahmanical. He was like Acharya, and he propound teaching which is very, in some of the aspects it's close to our teaching of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So Lord Chaitanya picked up a very important principle of prapana, surrendering. This is like, it's a Vaishnava, it's a bona fide teaching. Yeah. And we know in South India it's very prominent, and there are millions of Vaishnavas, Sri Vaishnavas. And even it's become prominent now in the Western world. Some of them, they're preaching, they're going to Western world, and I saw many Sri Vaishnavas, but they're Europeans. Sometimes they come into Vrindavan, and they're big groups, like maybe 50 or 100 people at once. They go in and just, doing parikram. Big tilak, big shikha, everything big, Aishwarya, mood, awe and reverence. Yeah. But like Radhanath Goswami has said in his Manak Shiksha, Grogusht, Hegusht, Haleshu, Sujanbus, Raganas, Mantrishinam, and so on. So there are some Vaishnavas can be could have stayed in Vrindavan, like Sri Vaishnavas or some other types of Vaishnavas. But they're not staying in Vrindavan because they have different mood. So Aishwarya mood, like all this kind of, I don't know, Madhvacharyas, they cultivate Varnashrama mood. They stay in Vrindavan, but they are not in Vrindavan because Vrindavan is different. There is a realm of Madhurya and full surrender to Krishna. Sharanagati. Right? We can give my
What would be your suggestion, from constantly tolerating things that are inappropriate within a movement, like our movement, will eventually lead to anger? Is that anger bona fide or is it unbona fide if one feels anger about certain things that may not be the way that Prabhupada was wanting them to be, and people who are in a position to do something about it want to be very tolerant, and they just always say one should just tolerate to all the people below them? What would you say for that? How should we deal with that? Like, if we get angry about those things, how should we deal with that? Because we don't want to get angry and lose our spiritual position, but at the same time things are sometimes not the way that
definitely,
that it was projected to be.
Yeah. I think, by my humble opinion, that anger is a risky business. We can be contaminated at any time, and it's always contamination is there. So if you use it, you have to be ready to lose portion of your Krishna consciousness. It's consuming it, it's just destroying your Krishna consciousness to some degree. And we're not so powerful so that we can, neglect our Krishna consciousness just to use an anger. And then again, it's not a Vaishnava culture, right, to use anger, because in our culture we're supposed to be loving and kind, and caring and compassionate. Where is the place for anger? So we shouldn't use it. And again, there is one condition to use anger, to stop offender, to destroy offenders, those who try to offend Vaishnavas, Guru, Vaishnava, Guru and Hari, right, the confirmation. It's called Chih Pramana. So anyway, I think my humble opinion, we have to purify, we have to get purified out of all anger. So we shouldn't. Sometimes sadhus can use, but those who on elevated, on liberated stage, like Prabhupada, he sometimes used it, and some of the acharyas, like Madhvacharya, definitely he used it, because he killed even somebody. He killed a few persons, like some dacoits, those who attacked him. He killed them. Arjuna used anger, right? Hanuman used anger, but they on the liberated stage, so they can use, but they're never used by anger, and they never used anger for what is called selfish purpose, for ahankara. Ahankara is the main component of ahankara, is anger. So that's how it works. If we use anger, that means we are under the control of asmita, ahankara, false identification. So we bewilder it and we use anger. That means we're not clear in our consciousness. There is no clarity, there is no sattva guna. So the next stage is distraction and fear of death. You see? So I'm not recommended to get to purify it out of from this anger. Yeah.
It's better to leave that situation.
Yeah, better to be humble and meek and and live up to Krishna everything, and Krishna will sort it out. And maybe some other opinions. I don't know. Yes.
Is it more like
Mood in Jagannath
yeah?
Puri.
Is it more like Aishwarya or
Aishwarya, that's called Aishwarya mood because we have three holy dhams, Vaishnava dhams, Gaudiya Vaishnava, they're going in 3 places. It's like one apartment with 3 bedrooms. They're Vrindavan, Mayapur and Puri. So Mayapur, Prabhu loves Vrindavan. Mayapur is Audarya Dhamma. Audarya means generous or compassionate. Mayapur. Then you go to Vrindavan, this Mathurya Dham, sweetness, attractiveness, Krishna, so beautiful. Then you turn to Puri. Puri is Aishwarya. It's like a kind of on the edge. It's a mix. There is some sweetness as well, but it's hidden. Externally is Aishwarya. So Krishna presents himself like powerful king in Dwaraka. But in the mood of Vrindavana, there is some sweetness there, but inside. And it's very difficult to approach because there is Aishwarya. It's not our mood, kind of. But therefore, Lord Chaitanya gave to us deep understanding of that place and Lila of Lord Jagannath. It's like a Krishna from Dwarakadish, but in the mood of Vrindavan, on Kurukshetra. This is like Kurukshetra. Okay. And gopis are pulling this chariot back to Vrindavan because they don't want to see Krishna in such, state of condition, I don't know, state of being. So he's like a great king with opulence, with entourage, with elephants and all this stuff. So we can approach Krishna, we can reciprocate in a confidential mood and have this very sweet reciprocation of sweet mellows. So we pull in Krishna back to Vrindavan. So Vrindavan is our place. So wherever there is a Krishna, there is Vrindavan. Krishna plus everything becomes Vrindavan. Right?
I have a question about being a grihastha. What kind of tamas you have to watch out for? I mean, if you're a grihastha.
Yeah, our grihastha. Yeah. And
so,
then,
what do you have to watch out for without getting
into these nations? So I think grihastha is a essential point is number 3, which is false sense of ownership over enjoyable objects, right? So if we are grihasthas, we have some possession, some ownership, and then we become conditioned by that, and it's false, and finally it leads to anger. Next step is anger. So it's called moha, maha, moha, tamisra. No, it's tamach. No, tamach, moha, maha, moha. I think it's maha, moha. I have to check. So you become bewildered by that, and then so you're attached, and then anger arises, and then you're in trouble. So this false sense of ownership over enjoyable objects, car, flat, I don't know, family, bank account. So be careful and use it in Krishna's service, purify it, sanctify it, and then you can carry on peacefully on the path of Krishna consciousness without any distraction. Otherwise, so many trials and tribulations. You see, we have so many turmoil sometimes in ISKCON. Why? Because of this thing. So we think that's belongs to us. We're going to fight for this over insignificant things. And we have lots of quarrels and things, and even in spiritual society. Maybe Brigu Paita probably wants to say anything. Okay, so we can stop here. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Shri New Dwaraka Dhama ki Jai. Welcome.